Right now, let's talk about, well, I suppose events closer to home, or people coming to our home, and we can't get rid of them. With Mark Littlewood, he's the Director of Popular Conservatism and joins us now. Very good afternoon to you, Mark.
Great to be with you, Julia. Hi.
Thanks for joining us. Again, another story, and it's another week, another story about dealing with foreign criminals who come here, who are put in jail, quite rightly, and then we can't get rid of them. Now, a new plan that jailed foreign criminals in England and Wales will be deported quicker, we're told, after an announcement of a new £5 million immigration unit. It's a task force. Specialist frontline staff will be sent to 80 jails in a bid to remove those with no right to stay, easing the current capacity crisis. They're going to be starting work on April the 1st, and they'll support the Home Office. They can identify, manage those going through the immigration process, and they want to deport criminals up to 18 months before the end of their custodial sentence, and also transferring criminals to serve their time in their own country rather than us paying for it. It all sounds great. Why did no one think of this before?
Well, you're right, Julia. It sounds great insofar as it goes, but the problem is it doesn't go very far. £5 million budget.
Yeah.
I've just done a quick back-of-the-envelope calculation. That's roughly what we spend on the NHS every 15 minutes, to give you an idea of the quantum of money that's going into this. So I'm not saying it won't do any good, but will it really do substantial good? And look, I'm in favour of us improving the administrative and the enforcement end of this, you know, making sure that people are across the paperwork, who's where, keeping track of people.
But also, why were they not doing that already?
Oh, quite. But the administrative side of it, I think, isn't the bigger part of the problem. It's the legal side of it.
Yeah.
For as long as you are in the European Convention of Human Rights and have the Human Rights Act embedded in UK law, the ability to appeal and stay in the country on the most tenuous grounds. I mean, I think the most preposterous recent case was you can't kick me out because my son likes the flavour of British chicken nuggets, as opposed to, I mean, even on the most tenuous grounds, you have a good case for staying in. And no number of enforcement officers can overcome that if that remains the law.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hurrah if we're going to improve the administration, which is shaky and rocky and needs improvement. But it's using a sledgehammer to fail to crack a nut if the major problem is the legal question.
Well, I've even thought this, you know, even now you get like Kemi Badenoch, the Tory leader, talking about, you know, well, maybe we do need to leave the European Convention on Human Rights. I mean, you know, Robert Jenrick, her rival, has said he'd be willing to do, and certainly the Reform UK want to do. But it seems to me that even if we did that, we've still got the problem of these activist judges and tribunals. I think our whole judicial and legal system is utterly corrupted by this.
No, that's right, because although everybody talks about the European Convention of Human Rights, Julia, it goes well beyond that, because we've decided to write our own Human Rights Act, which is basically a cut and paste of that European Convention, and embed it into English law. Now, I think you're right, we do have a problem with activist judges, but look, what we've told judges that they should now decide is whether somebody's privacy and family life is in any way being impinged upon. Well, that strikes me as a political decision to weigh up somebody's privacy and family life against national security and immigration issues. But we've decided to remove politicians from that and make it a judicial decision. So if you give active political power to judges, don't be surprised when they become activists. We need to take those active powers away.
Who knew? No, we've also learned today that Britain has agreed to extend a deal with France to reduce the small boat crossings until 2027 on condition they complete the construction of a detention centre in Dunkirk. It's a £12.5 million migrant detention centre central to this 3-year deal signed by Rishi Sunak and Emmanuel Macron back in 2023. 600 migrants came across on boats yesterday. You know, we haven't stopped the boats, the gangs haven't been smashed, and now we have the most bizarre scenario where a collection of mayors around Calais, of all these little small towns, they're up in arms about basically the state of these massive migrant camps where thousands of young, fighting age men are living rough and waiting basically to get the money together to get on these boats to travel across the channel. And they've actually demanded that Keir Starmer visits the region to see the impact of this, and is basically saying the problem is we're the problem, because they've got a bunch of migrants living rough who want to get to Britain. I mean, this is a topsy-turvy world, isn't it?
It is. I mean, one area where I've got sympathy with that analysis is it's clear that Britain is a magnet for a large number of illegal immigrants. And if Britain is a magnet and you're trying to get there, don't be surprised that a good number of these people end up in Calais working out how to make their way across the Channel to get to soft touch Britain. I mean, at first blush, however, it's a French problem. If these people are illegally in France or have no claim to be in France or to remain in France, well, the French should remove them. But of course, where you get a clash of incentives is it's quite convenient for the French if these people make their way across the Channel and become our
But also,
problem.
one of the reasons why they come to Britain is because we offer better benefits and better deals. They're in a hotel, not living in a tent on the Calais beach. I mean, you know, if the French spent more money and looked after them, they'd want to stay in France. I mean, it is, the irony of this is quite bizarre.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, we are a ludicrously soft touch. And going back to speeding up the administration of this, I mean, it takes us, an average of 18 months to process an asylum claim. That's before you start going through any appeals process. I mean, that is extraordinary. This should be taking, maybe not 18 hours, but certainly 18 days, I would have thought, is enough to reach a conclusion about whether the person has some sort of claim. And in order to beat the gangs, I mean, I'll tell you one thing I would be open to is, usually to beat criminal gangs, you have to actually almost compete with them. For example, the National Health Service provides methadone in order to compete with criminal gangs that provide heroin. So I wonder whether we need to set up some sort of safe route and say, look, if you really do think you've got a claim, then, get this flight from Charles de Gaulle Airport or any airport. You'll arrive at this particular airport in Britain. You better have all of your documentation with you, and we will hold you there and process your claim there. We then know if you're trying to cross the English Channel on a dinghy that your claim is not legitimate because you are refusing to take a legitimate route
except, of course, the ones who arrive who claim the legitimate, and we'll never get rid of them either. And of course, we know that perfectly well most of the people who are coming across on the dinghies on the Channel, that they wouldn't be able to go that route, and so that would just carry on. But you say, calling their bluff. Mark Littlewood, Director of Popular Conservatism.
Well, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed that video, please make sure you give it a like and subscribe to the Popcon YouTube channel. You can also find out more about us on our website, popularconservatism.com, and you can follow us on social media. Details are in the show notes below.